Hello and welcome to another casted game of Dota 2. Poorly casted, that is, because I'm doing it and I'm on my own. And once again, I will be letting Autodirect do all of the hard work for me while I just sit here and ramble about nothing in particular. Let's hide that because nobody wants to know it. Let's grab the last hits up, please. Hotkeys, there we go. Directed camera shall soon have us have a look at what is going on. And we do see an Earth Spirit with not a huge amount of gold, probably saving up for that Orb of Venom on his quick buy, just running with a single set of tangos and a Ring of Protection. And why is he going Ring of Protection? That's because he's laning up against an Anti-Mage and an Enchantress. Enchantress loves to just hit you, annoying right click, picks up a neutral creep that also wants to whack you pretty hard. There's just a lot of physical damage in that lane. Meanwhile, if we compare the top lanes, it looks like we're going to have Io Ursa. Now this is a classic combo for me, one I have used and abused to grind quite a lot of MMR, even win a couple of shitty tournament games off the back of that combo. Not that my Io is very good. The joy of reloading your carry away from the kill and all of that jazz. But we will have that up against AA Slardar. Hard to really predict who's going to be winning in that top lane. There's a lot of big slow stun combo from the Radiant offlane. Can definitely see some kill potential, but also there's the major power spike and at the level 2 for the Io Ursa, if they decide to go for it, which they most likely will. I don't know why we're not being shown the runes, because it looks like Anti-Mage is having a bit of a rough time. And the first skirmish does go the way of the Io Ursa in the top lane. Big power spike there, and obviously if you don't kill the Ursa, you're going to have a bit of a rough time. But speaking of a rough time, Anti-Mage down bottom is actually going to get caught out by the Ember Spirit, and looks like he might go down for a first blood. No. It seems, yes, he was intelligent enough to hold his point, pick up the blink and get out of there. Still, not the way you want to start off the lane, especially against such an oppressive hero like Viper. Viper likes to keep you low anyway, that's just sort of what he does. So Anti-Mage is going to be relying on Enchantress to win this lane for him, and look at that instant impact from that Ench. Picks up the range creep, forces so much damage onto the Viper, kind of evens it out and secures that first wave more than you would think for the Anti-Mage. And the one matchup I haven't addressed is this tiny Void Spirit mid matchup. And I will be the first to admit, I'm not hugely familiar with my mid matchups, but Tiny absolutely will have kill threat with his combo. No question about that. The Avalanche Toss combo, though it has been nerfed down a couple of times, still extremely lethal if he can catch you in it with a few points. So the Void Spirit, however, very elusive hero. Solid chance he just doesn't get caught. And until that combo is online, he's going to have the better trades. He has a much nicer animation, though he does lose in base hit. But speaking of losing, the Enchantress is in danger of losing quite a bit of health. They decide to jump on her. And the same up top, here we are, the stuns and the slows starting to creep in. One more hit, but no. Ursa just about gets away. He's going to be a little bit careful, though, about going back in. Certainly he's going to be checking whether the Slardar has a bash up all the time. Earth Spirit doing what Earth Spirits do, just trying to run for that courier. And Enchantress very out of position, trying to stop him doing that. I would have thought that would be a rather poor position to put your Anti-Mage in, but he seems to be managing a lot better. I expected the Viper to really be harassing him down, but it seems that with the mana management, or the mana drain, I suppose, that the Anti-Mage is putting out, it's quite hard for the Viper to apply the level of harass you'd normally expect. But the trade did force the Enchantress to go back to the base. Now there's some room to work around, though I would not be surprised to see this Earth Spirit look for a roam before too long. Yeah, definitely around rune time, if not around level 4 or 5 on the Tiny. But he won't be able to roam if he's dead. Clarity gets cancelled out on the Viper, which is certainly not great. when you're already having a lot of mana problems, and the Earth Spirit loses a lot of HP. Nice little play from both mids, having a decent time, but Void Spirit's clearly coming out the favourite right now, picking up a 7 CS lead in the first few minutes. However, both carries are absolutely neck and neck, with Slardar being slightly better off than the Viper in terms of the offlaners. However, the Anti-Mage lacks the built-in sustain, and the Earth Spirit is a much bigger playmaker than the Ancient Apparition, certainly for a large portion of the game, depending on your views on Ice Blast. And so we could, yep, we've already seen Earth Spirit TPing out mid, probably just to refill the bottle, and is there a bottle on that tiny? Let's check. Yeah, there is. So yes, he did just pop out to refill the bottle, and to contest the runes, which he picked up, and then they go for the kill on the mid, but at the same time there is a kill up top. They're just trying to go for the Ursa, and they will find him. Can they pick up the IO as well? Unlikely. Should have the tether up to get out in just a moment. Auto-director, please. Give me a look at the action. Just to see, catch up on the mid. There was actually no, it doesn't even look like there was much kill threat. Maybe a salve was forced, I'd hope so at least. And now Earth Spirit's trying to head up top to swing that lane back into the Dire's favour. He is in place. They have this AA kill, no question about that. Though that's a little rude, Earth Spirit, stealing that from your marginally underfarmed carry. If we have a look at the net worth, they're actually neck and neck, but certainly would be nice to get some kills on him. Though no one can argue that an Earth Spirit's boots are not handy to have. No, we may already have them. It looks like the supports have duoed up, trying to find whatever they can. That is a bit of a scary thing. Mid laner's falling low, but should get away with the last of his mana, bottling back up. And they did actually find the IO out of the back of that. Maybe they can pull off the tether away, but no. Wasting a lot of time, but they are giving up a position 5 kill. I don't know if they picked up the bounty rune off the back of that. If so, it looks like it would have been worth it, but it looks like they didn't. In fact, that looks like a very unfortunate set of bounty runes. All 4 going to the Radiant. That's not really what you want. And the Dire draft is definitely a lot more early game. Definitely a lot more early game. The Viper doesn't scale brilliantly well. The Tiny falls off for sure as people become less nukeable. Earth Spirit and IO, they scale brilliantly well, and Ursa's okay, but certainly does not outscale the Anti-Mage. Double damage rune picked up by the Void Spirit in mid. We'll see where he decides to put that to use in a little bit, I'm sure. And let's start to be a little bit concerned, because your carry on the Ursa not pulling ahead of the Anti-Mage at all. It's going to be quite dangerous if they go into the mid game with the Anti-Mage having a net worth lead and picking up his Battle Fury at a decent timing. Sounds like a snowball waiting to happen. But these are good players. I'm sure they're aware, and they will start to make some moves to try and address everything they can at the very least. But it looks like we might be about to see that double damage rune get used as the Void Spirit pops in. There it is, comes up. And he is silenced, stunned up. Maybe they can actually turn this with a lot of Viper poison. But he jukes it out and will just about barely get away. However, not as successful as he would have liked. The control on an Earth Spirit is always surprising. I think even if you are at the top bracket and play that silence into the stun and then some slows, just a really do-it-all hero if you've got the right setup for it. Now we see the best position 5 that you can possibly have, leaving you alone in the lane while they go jungle, which in this case, certainly what you want. Anti-Mage is managing the Viper perfectly well. And though I do say that, he is building up quite a few. Might have to commit the blink. He actually might just be straight up dead! I stand thoroughly corrected, as the Anti-Mage is just flat out run down and killed by the Viper. And Tiny bottles an Invis rune and will make his way top, looking to probably blow up that Ancient Apparition. Slardar is going to be a little bit too tanky. Seems like he might have been... No, not scattered on wards. That was a friendly ping, and there's the toss, there's the dunk. And now Slardar getting body blocked up by the IO, that he loses it at the second there. Might see a toss in, though the auto-director does not want me to see anything, apparently. But, yep, Slardar will be going down, and Anti-Mage, once again, getting pressured by that Viper. That's definitely now a real threat. And Enchantress is still just jungling, which, not ideal. Very much not ideal. I'd like to see them doing something a bit more actively on the map. Yeah, I don't really like it when your support sits there jungling instead of providing something to the team. I mean, you're an Enchantress, you have creeps at your disposal, you have an offensive Dispel, one of the few in the games that doubles as a slow. That's extremely useful. Well, the offensive Dispel less so in this game, and here we go. Yeah, you see you turn up to lane with a creep and then you pick up the Viper kill. Sure, the mid lane turned up as well, but still, please do something. You know, you have a net creep, you can stop the IO just tethering away. There's all kinds of things you can do on that hero. But farming your power treads is probably not the right decision, and I am very much holding in some hiccups right now. We do see a pause as the Anti-Mage has had enough of his Enchantress and really has just walked away. Hopefully he comes back, can't confirm. I know the game goes on for quite a bit longer, so it probably does. That already is an exceptionally long pause. Either way, it does seem anyone's game at this point. The only big discrepancy to highlight is how far behind the Tiny is compared to the Void Spirit. A full 1,000 gold behind. Not had the greatest game in the world, but there's quite a few solid targets for him to just avalanche toss combo this game. Enchantress doesn't have a huge amount to say. You know, very hard hero to kill unless you've got Magical Nuke, and Tiny has that in spades. It'll probably be him who has to kill his Enchantress, him or Earth Spirit. There's also the Ancient Apparition, key target if you can grab it at the start of the fight, and maybe Void Spirit as well will be able to be comboed up. Depends on the item build a little bit. Certainly might get a little bit harder if the Void goes toward the Nags. That extra HP does more than you'd expect, at least more than I expect. I am somewhat curious as to what this IO is building, actually. He's picked up the wand and is going... something... yeah, he's going wand mech, which is very standard. Very standard. And there's the Ursa. Under a little bit of threat, certainly can get bullied out quite hard by the Slardar. There's just so much physical damage that comes out of that hero. If you get his ult on you, and there's no avoiding that. But yes, much as I'd like to see the Enchantress actually do something around the map instead of sit in the bloody jungle, I would also very much like to see, well, this Viper get out of harm's way. Mid has once again decided to stop by and pick up try and collect a paycheck, and it looks like he will have no trouble doing that. TP comes in, might be enough to turn this around. Low on mana, Void Spirit. She will have enough for a TP out if he decides to go for it, but hard to say. He certainly won't be able to re-engage without picking up a fair amount more mana. And there's the Dire are gathering. They don't want to let this go. They're carry TP'd for this. He'll be going up to the high ground, but Earth Spirit's fully aware of that and has the Remnant rolling already. There's the Ice Blast. Will that be enough to make them back off? Tiny has a DD and he tosses the IO in. Perhaps a bit aggressive, but there's the catch with the roll. They'll get the AA for their trouble at least and be able to pressure onto this mid tower, which is certainly an objective that's worth taking. Though it's definitely a bit of a pain for them not to have gotten that Void Spirit kill. He's being able to get away with extremely greedy plays behind tier 1 towers, forcing TPs and all that, and not really getting punished for it. And now he's just going to go straight back, which is interesting. There's 3 heroes there. Slardar and Enchantress is finally going to turn up and do something. IO almost taken down right at the outset of the fight, and once again the mid laner is extremely low, and they will actually bring him down this time. But Tiny's DD runs out, Ice Blast misses horrifically. Will he be able to get away? No. They do get the mid tower and the mid laner, but it's quite a steep price they have to pay. Will it be worth it? We will see. I believe the AM did pick up a kill there. He picked up 2. He picked up both kills, in fact, for a nice 500 gold. But the Ursa is getting a lot of pressure. They should trade off their safe lane towers. And the IO is being a good boy and stacking up, though it's always quite dangerous stacking when there is an anti-mage on the opposing team, who will have, does have a completed Battle Fury now, so you got to be very careful about those stacks. If they get scouted and just taken by the anti-mage, you've really put yourself in a rough spot. What is the Ursa is also going for Battle Fury and is massively behind at this point. Surprisingly so, in fact. Definitely want to see him pick that up quite quickly. It's not good. If you're both running Battle Furies and the anti-mage gets his first, it's going to be a rough game. I am a little bit concerned. But hopefully he'll pick up the Battle Fury, take a bunch of stacks, and that might get him back in. Might give him a fighting chance. But it's certainly not been an easy game, and that is a very good Ice Blast. Forces the Enrage, and there's the mid laner. At the right spot, just to pick him off. Yeah, that's not what you want to see. Not at all. All 3 cores are starting to lag behind their counterparts on the Radiant. And it's sort of as I said, the snowball's starting to form. It's going to be quite hard to slow down the anti-mage from here. He's going to hit his timings. I mean, it's a horrifically quick Battle Fury, sub 13 minutes. Did he actually pick up boots or anything? Yeah, I mean, he has boots Battle Fury before... it's treads Battle Fury before 14 minutes, before 13 minutes probably. I don't see much hope for the Dire to come back from this without some really quite inventive plays, and it does feel like it is the other team making all of the plays right now, but there is the silence. They do have a stun. Can they actually catch up? There should be another roll-off cooldown in a couple of seconds. Might be able to catch up. And they know where he is. Thanks to that, roll is up. And nice catch from the Spirit. They do bring down the mid laner, and they will be able to take the safe lane tier 1, which is a big win for them. It's opened up the map quite significantly. I don't know, I can't see if the Dire mid tower is down, but I would assume so. Which somewhat evens the playing field, allows the Dire to make... Oh no, the mid tower is still up for the Dire. I am losing the plot slightly. But it's still up. They're a little bit antsy to go into their own triangle after that AA blast play, though. But this gives them the opportunity to at least play a little bit around the map, try and choke them out of touch, but it might be too little too late. That is quite the staggering net worth difference between the Urstra and the anti-mage at this point. 2,000 and growing. That's getting slightly concerning, and there's the mid laner getting caught out. Slardar has his blink. That is a rather rude awakening to that fact for the Dire. But hey, they actually got some bounty runes, which is a solid start. It's better than normal so far this game. Ursa is starting to close in on this Battle Fury. It looks to be a vaguely respectable timing, not awful by any stretch. It's just the nature of the game makes this quite hard to really justify, as the Viper dived under the tier 1, which merely just tickles at this point, and absolutely cut down. I mean, this Dire lineup isn't one that wants to fight without all 5 members present. I mean, if they want to be missing someone, it's probably the Tiny, who is more specialised in just picking off a squishy than outright team fighting. But certainly they need the Ursa, but the Ursa just isn't ready yet. Gotcha. And that is a real problem. If we compare, the anti-mage has his Yasha finished up and is speeding on towards that. Speeding on towards that Manta style. I don't think that it's even a particularly... It's not a hugely necessary item. It's handy. But I don't think it's vital. The only major silence is the Earth Spirits. And a lot of the stuff that he could dispel gets reapplied very quickly. Viper Poison, for example. I'm not even sure anything he has really is dispellable, actually. I suppose it is mostly just Earth Spirit stuff, which is not a big deal. Reload committed. Unfortunately, the kill came in too fast for that to be worthwhile. And there is a TP up top to try and catch that Enchantress from the Tiny, but a quick enchant, surprisingly enough, gets her away. But the same cannot be said for the Earth Spirit, who gets absolutely cut to pieces by the Void Spirit, by his brother. Yep, 3k lead now between the two carries, and just seems to keep growing. There's no pressure on this anti-mage whatsoever. His team is winning 4v4 without him. Yeah, they're desperately hanging on to this mid tower, but it's not really significant in a game where you're just slowly getting out-farmed because the other team is using the map better than you. But that is the mech on the IO, and we should be seeing the timing of the Battle Fury and the Ursa finally coming out. And maybe they can have one last bash at this, have a perfect team fight. Because IO mech save is not insignificant. Plus the enrage, plus all of the just chaos that Earth Spirit can wrought? What's the present tense of, future tense of wrought? I don't know. But here is that team fight, and the Earth Spirit started off strong. Slardar falls very quickly, and they're already forcing the retreat. Ice Blast committed very early. They might be able to jump forward even further. I don't think mech has been used there. They will find the 5. But can they actually turn this into anything bigger? Void Spirit manages to slip away on low HP once again, doing it the entire game, just dancing. But it's signs of life, and signs of life is what we'd like to see. They just need to really speed up their pressure. Do it so fast that there's no time for the anti-mage to come online. Try and make that timing work, even though it's not much of a timing at this point. But we do see the anti-mage. There's the Manta, dealing with the Atos, the only thing that can reasonably kill him that Viper has had to rush. It's just come out so late that it hardly matters. And that's quite an aggressive smoke. It looks like they'll be either running straight into the pit, or running straight at the other team, or doing neither of these things. Because why not? That makes a lot of sense. Bit of a wasted smoke, but Atos is dodged by the blink. Earth Spirit, however, has found the AA. Doesn't quite manage to kick him to the low ground, but is close enough to let Viper help out. And that's the AA down before the ult comes out with no buyback. They might actually have a chance to force a favourable team fight. The enemy is a little bit far away and the Enchantress is out of position. They can press forward, but they can't. Both Slardar and Void Spirit get away completely scot-free once again, because I hadn't realised it at first, but this dire draft has almost no lockdown. I mean, the Radiant isn't hugely better, but they have some. And the Radiant's the one with the anti-mage. And the Void Spirit, those slippery ones who benefit from you not having any lockdown a lot more than, say, an Ursa does. An Ursa you can manage with slows. Can't really do a huge amount to an anti-mage with a couple of slows. Not at this point. But the game's not over yet, and I don't want to rule them out completely, though I am mostly ruling them out. There's the reload. Looks like they will be going for one last team fight. And that's the Enchantress gone instantly, but a massive AA ult. And there's the 4-man Slitherine Crush. And that stun on the Ursa. Both supports going down. There goes the Ursa. There goes the Viper. Can Earth Spirit make it away? Nope, absolutely not. No, it's all on IO, and that doesn't really doesn't mean a huge amount. Though that is one of the most measly mana voids I've ever seen. Yes, that was a team fight. Dire decided to force, and they got wiped without picking up. No, they picked up the Enchantress. Actually, they got the Enchantress. I'm not sure I really even count that though. That Enchantress is not the one winning them the game. Let's put it that way.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
I'm quite surprised that this Void Spirit has managed to survive so many times, hasn't gone a particularly greedy build. Or he's gone purely physical damage, doesn't really have any tank in any respect. But the bash is out now on the Ursa, though he does decide to reveal the smoke by hitting an illusion, which is a bit weak. Roll doesn't connect, puts him exactly where the Radiant want him to be, and now they're going to go into the Roche Pit, pick up the Aegis for the Anti-Mage, and then I think it's rather safe to proclaim this game over. They're struggling to kill this Anti-Mage once. I cannot bring myself to believe they can do it twice. Maybe if Anti-Mage suffers major brain damage and decides to just stand there 1v5 right-clicking instead of actually playing his hero. That might be the only way. And even then I'm not convinced. Another grab onto the mid lane, and they might actually kill him this time, and Void Spirit does go down, but a massive AA ult once again. Just leave it quite free for Anti-Mage to clean up. Yep, they're just having to run away from. The Viper falls. Toxins nullified. There's a reload from the IO. I don't truly see why. That seemed a bit excessive. But I suppose he just wanted to go somewhere, because he's certainly not going out on the map.
Dire's middle tower didn't last long.
Not my best cast, this one. Definitely not feeling it as much as I have at some other times, but I'm doing what I can. I think I've said a fair amount of things, which is a start. Don't think they're particularly high quality things, but that's not what anyone's here for, and I know that because no one's here. Useful metric, that one. The opinions of 0 people. Very much allows me to create the content I want to create. They don't go for the grab on the Slardar, and unsurprisingly, it doesn't work out. Maybe they pick him up at the end of the Earth Spirit ult. They do, actually. The Magnetized will took out the Slardar. But now Ursa has to somehow man up, double kill an Anti-Mage and the rest of his team, as his Tiny gets crumbled. They might actually find the first life on the Anti-Mage. Yeah, they do. He blinks out, and the Ursa dies, but they do kill Anti-Mage once. Now the buybacks? Maybe there is hope of a base defense. Looks like the Radiant will just back away. Not worth it. Certainly not worth going in when they can have a free team fight later. And all the bounty runes go the Radiant once again. Definitely not my best cast, this one. Probably not my worst either, but... Oh, and there goes the Earth Spirit's morale.
Look at Dire's bottom tower, Jax.
You love the smell of salt. And, oh wow, that's real bad. That's real bad. That's proper griefing right there. That's proper griefing. That's not very okay, Mr. Leg Issue. Well, I see you also have a tilt issue as well. So maybe get that one checked out when you pop over to the docks for your leg. You hate to see it, don't you? The saltiest motherfuckers on the planet. They all seem to play Dota. Ooh, nice little bash. It's not quite enough though, is it? As Anti-Mage finally turns up. There's Auto Director wants me to have a look at this nice little path in the trees. while it's as interesting as the fight, to be fair. We all know what's going to happen. Antimage's going to turn up and go wacky wacky. Mana gone, life gone, you're done.
Double kill. I came a long way.
And now we're probably just going to see them march down mid and end the game. Viper's AFK in spawn. No, not the greatest in the world.
Tower has fallen.
Auto Director doesn't even know what to make of this game, does he? Does it?
Dire's middle barracks has fallen.
Yep, and they're just marching down mid. Missed a leg issue.
Is Dire going to let that
Really, I hope he's never in any of my games. Not that he would be, but you know what I mean. Don't like to see that kind of attitude. Yeah, you can tell. Keep it to yourself. Mute yourself and scream down a muted microphone. That's my plan. That's what I always do. And then complain afterwards to unrelated people about nothing in particular.
Dire's
But
middle
yep.
tower didn't last long.
Yeah, just lanes and snowballs with against a draft with no stuns for an anti-mage and a void spirit. What more can you say?